In this unit, we're going to cover salespersons. I'm going to show you how to register your new business with the Ohio Secretary of State. I'm going to show you how to easily obtain a federal employment identification number. And I'm going to show you how to easily obtain your Ohio vendor's license. First, I want to give you some information about salespersons employed by your dealership. Salespersons that work for your dealership are no longer required to have a salesperson's license. For years and years, every salesperson that was employed by an Ohio dealer was required to hold an official salesperson's license. However, that law has now changed, and now any person that you hire is no longer required to have a salesperson's license. However, there are some very important guidelines that you must be aware of when you're hiring salespersons. You can only pay a commission or compensation to a salesperson that is employed by your dealership. For example, you could never pay your brother-in-law commission for selling a vehicle if he is not a salesperson employed by your dealership. Employed salespersons are the only party that are allowed to be paid a commission or compensation for the sale of motor vehicles by a licensed Ohio dealer. Also, a salesperson is only allowed to be employed by one dealership. A salesperson is not allowed to be employed by multiple dealerships with different owners. However, a salesperson is allowed to work at multiple locations that are owned by the same dealer. So let's say, for example, Sally Doe owns 3 dealerships in Columbus, then a salesperson would be allowed to work at all 3 locations. But a salesperson can never work for another dealership that's owned by a different person. A salesperson is only allowed to be employed by one dealer company. Now I want to show you how to register your business with the Ohio Secretary of State. The Ohio Secretary of State is not only the state's leading election authority, they are also the leading recorder of business entities, and they want to keep a record of every business operating in the state. They want to know about any new business opening in Ohio, including the dealership you're getting ready to open. So I'm going to show you how to register your new business with the Ohio Secretary of State's office. But before I do, I want you to be aware of the Secretary of State Division's phone number. It's 614-466-2655. Once again, that is 614-466-2655. They have a wealth of information for you when you're setting up your business structure if needed. We're going to go to sos.state.ohio.gov, and here you're going to find a very business-friendly website that will allow you to register your business online with just a few clicks of the mouse. Before you register your business, you will need to find out if the name that you want to use for your dealership is available, and you can easily find the names that are available by scrolling down and clicking on the business search link. And on this page, as an example, I typed in the name Buckeye Motors. As you can see here, there are several variations of Buckeye Motors. And if you're really not sure whether or not you can use the name that you want to use, then you can certainly contact the Secretary of State's office directly to see if you can use your chosen dealership name. I would also like you to be aware, for the very best name protections, you might want to register your business as a trade name. That would give you statewide name protection, and no one else in the state could use that name if you have a trade name. And you can search for several business names that you want to use, and when you find a dealership name that you want to use that is available, then you'll go ahead and click on File Online to register your dealership name with the Ohio Secretary of State's office. Then you're going to click on Business Filings, and you will need to create a username and password. And this automated website is going to walk you step by step through the entire process. But you will need to keep track of your filing date because you're going to need to enter that on your official dealer license application. And this easy step-by-step system will easily allow you to register your business name with the Secretary of State. Once again, if you have any questions, you can certainly contact the Ohio Secretary of State directly at 614-466-2655. And once again, that website where you register is sos.state.oh.gov. Next, we're going to need to apply for a federal tax ID number. Before you apply for your Ohio Used Motor Vehicle Dealer License, you're going to need to apply for a Federal Employment Identification Number, which is sometimes referred to as a tax ID number. This is the number that the Internal Revenue Service uses to identify your business for tax purposes. You can apply for your FEIN for free at irs.gov. And you can even do it over the phone if you're more comfortable with that by calling 800-829-4933. When you obtain your federal employment identification number, you will need to record it in a safe place. And you're also going to need to record this number when you're applying for your dealer's license. And you must also have your federal employment identification number before you apply for your vendor's license, which we're going to discuss in the very next section. We're going to get started at the IRS website at irs.gov, and you'll just scroll down right there and click on Apply for Employer Identification Number and click on Begin Application. And now you are going to need to select your business entity. So for this example, I want to show you how to get a federal tax ID number as an LLC. I'm not telling you that you need to start your dealership as an LLC. I am showing you how to file as an LLC for an example only. So if you are filing as an LLC, you would click LLC. Now let's say, for example, that you have 2 persons on your dealer's license. Then you would enter 2. Then you're going to select Ohio from the drop-down box and then click Continue. And the IRS wants to know why you are filing a federal tax ID number. Well, you are probably taking this course because you're starting a new business. Then you'll need to enter one person's name that appears on the license and that person's social security number. And then at the bottom of the page, you're going to need to select the person's name as either one of the owners or the members of the LLC, or if you're a third party applying for someone else, and then click Continue. Now, you're going to enter the physical address of your dealership along with your dealership phone number. And the IRS also gives you an opportunity to enter a mail forwarding address if needed. And then you'll just click Continue. Now you're going to enter your registered business name of the business along with any fictitious name or DBA that is doing business as. You're going to enter the county of your dealership, and then the state's obviously going to be Ohio. On the second drop-down box, you'll need to indicate the state that you're incorporated in. So if you're incorporated in Ohio, you'll select Ohio from both drop-down boxes. Then enter your start date, click Continue, and now you are done. And you actually have a federal tax ID number, and there are a couple of ways that you can receive it. If you click the second box, the IRS will mail you your number. As it states right there, it can take up to 4 weeks to get that number. And the way I look at it, you just placed a 4-week delay on applying for your dealer's license because you can't apply for your dealer's license until you have your tax ID number. So I recommend just leaving the first box checked on this page, click Continue, and you'll be able to print up your new tax ID number right there on the spot. As you can see, you'll have your dealership name on that document. At the very far right is your brand new federal employment identification number. So you want to be sure and record your federal employment identification number, and you are going to have to include that number on your dealer license application. If you have any questions about federal employment identification numbers, then you can call 800-829-4933. Next, I want to show you how to obtain your Ohio vendor's license. Before you can become a licensed Ohio motor vehicle dealer, you must obtain an Ohio vendor license. And in the following unit, we're going to do what I'm going to call a deal. And I'm going to take you through the entire motor vehicle transaction, where we're going to go through the entire process of selling a motor vehicle. And part of this process will involve the very easy collection of sales tax on the vehicle that you're selling. Well, in order to legally charge sales tax on the motor vehicles that you're selling, you will need a vendor's license. And I'm going to show you how to get your vendor's license right now. I'm going to show you how to easily obtain your vendor's license online, but if you are not comfortable with that for some reason, then you can simply visit your county courthouse and go into the auditor's office, and you can get your vendor license there right on the spot. But I'm going to show you how to avoid that trip to your courthouse and apply for your vendor's license online. We're going to apply for your vendor's license at the Ohio Business Gateway. Now, I want you to be aware this is a completely different website than the dealer portal. Remember, the dealer portal is for licensed motor vehicle dealers only. The Ohio Business Gateway that you see right here is for every business in the state that collects sales tax. Before we start, I also want you to be aware that chronologically, you must get your federal tax ID number before you get your vendor's license, because you need your federal tax ID number in order to obtain your vendor number. And at the end of the course, I'm going to give you a chronological checklist that will show you all the steps to complete in a certain order, and that way you'll be able to obtain your dealer's license in the quickest manner possible. So let's go ahead and get started with the application for your vendor's license. And here you see the Ohio Business Gateway. And at the very bottom, since we've never used the gateway, we're going to need to create an account. And as we get started, I want you to be aware that you're going to be doing some things in this application process repetitively. I think you have to enter your address of your dealership like 4 times, but it is completely automated and it's going to guide you through the entire step-by-step process. First, you need to just agree to those terms and conditions. Then you're going to enter your name, email, phone number, date of birth, the last 4 digits of your social security number, enter your verification information, and again, you'll need to agree to those terms and conditions. Now you will create a username and password. And I want to remind you, always be sure to record your username and password. And because when we start the sales tax reports in the next unit, you will need to use your username and password to file these sales tax reports. And I'm going to cover that easy process with you extensively in your next training unit. Now you're going to enter your Federal Employment Identification Number, or your FEIN. I want to remind you, you must apply for your Federal Employment Number before you apply for your vendor number, because you cannot get your vendor's license without your Federal Employment Identification Number. So you're going to enter your tax ID number right here. You're going to enter your dealership address and phone number here. And you're going to enter that address a few more times here in just a few moments. And then you'll click Next. Now you have gained access to your business dashboard. And what we're going to do during this process, we're going to apply for a county vendor's license registration. Technically, you're going to be collecting sales tax for the state, and you're going to transfer that sales tax that you've collected to the county, but they will take a portion of the sales tax, and then the county will transfer the remainder of that to the state. That's why it's called a county vendor's license. So you're going to click the link like you see right here. And now the state wants you to be aware you are going to pay a small fee for your vendor's license. You'll click on Acknowledge and Accept. And now you're going to enter the date that you will start making taxable sales at that location. When you get your dealer's license, when you apply for your dealer's license, you should get the license back in about 4 to 6 weeks. So you could be collecting sales tax in 1 month. Also, if you're purchasing a dealership from someone else, you'll want to enter their name and previous vendor number. If not, you'll just leave those 2 boxes blank. And then the state wants to know if you're going to be selling liquor at your dealership. If you do, I would assume you'd be selling a lot of vehicles, but I wouldn't want to be around your dealership when customers are taking test drives. But so if you're not selling liquor, you'll leave those boxes blank. Click Next. Next, you're going to select the business entity for your dealership from the drop-down box. So maybe you're a corporation or partnership or an LLC. You'll enter your legal name, your trade name or DBA. And when you register your business with the Secretary of State, you should receive what's known as a charter number. And that is a number the Secretary of State files to your business, and you're going to enter your charter number here. Now I want to bring your attention to 2 important drop-down boxes that you need to make sure are selected correctly. These are what are known as your NAICS codes. Selecting these codes will correctly ensure the sales tax that you collect when you sell a motor vehicle will be distributed correctly to the correct state funds. So you want to select the code 441 motor vehicle parts from the first drop-down box, and then you're going to select 441 120 used car dealers from the second drop-down box. You have to make sure these numbers are correct. Otherwise, the sales tax that you transfer to the state would not go into the correct fund. And then you would have to amend your vendor's account, which you don't want to do. So make sure those numbers are correct. 441 from the initial drop-down box. The second drop-down box needs to clearly state 441 120 used car dealers. Then once again, you're going to go ahead and enter the address of your dealership and the county that your dealership is located in. You're going to enter your phone number once again, along with your address and the mail forwarding address if you need one. And finally, you're going to enter each person whose name appears on the dealer's license, along with their social security number, phone numbers, and home address. Click Next. And now you click on the Accept My Payment selections at the bottom of this page. And this system will automatically take you to the state secure payment portal, where you can securely enter your credit card information and pay your $25 vendor license fee. And that fee could change when you're actually applying for your license. On the next page, as you see here, you are done. And you can easily print your new vendor license number by clicking on the Print License button at the bottom right of your screen. So you want to be sure to record your new vendor number in a safe place. And remember, your vendor number must be included when you're applying for your dealer's license. As I stated before, if you do not want to apply for your vendor's license online, you can simply visit your county auditor's office at your county courthouse and apply for your vendor number right there. Let's do a quick review of Unit 3. We have learned that any compensation or commission paid can only be paid to a salesperson that's employed by your dealership. A salesperson may only work for one dealership owner, so please do keep that in mind. Dealers must register with the Secretary of State. You must apply for a federal employment identification number, and then you will apply for an Ohio vendor's license. Remember, you can view this video along with all the other videos in your dealer training course after the course, and at that time, you can easily fast forward through the videos to find the exact content that you want to review by visiting ohiodealer.com. Once again, that's ohiodealer.com. Then click on the course videos link at the very top of every page.